Good evening and welcome to, I don't know what to say really, a very disillusioned, angry, disheartened Villa Park podcast. And in our group chat, we were lamenting today's performance, and I thought, why not just get on the pod and see if we can kind of vent our frustrations, give our thoughts, our ideas. So, Sam, you're on with us today, and Kev is going to join us shortly. And we want to get your comments in as well. So, get your comments in about what you think about today's game, what you think about Gerrard, the players, and where we go from here, basically. But yeah, Sam, good to see you back on, mate. I know it was before the season started, and I'll come to your little your opinions in a second. But you were on before the season started, even then you had some reservations about the season and about what we were looking like. And to be fair, mate, a lot of your predictions are coming true with the start that we've had.
Yeah, I think it's one of them things where I never want to be right when I criticize the team. I'm always kind of looking to be proven wrong. I don't think I'm one of those fans who always puts it down on everything. But I think there was enough from last season to see that with what we had available to us in terms of like personnel, that we should have performed better than we did. And I don't think enough has changed for the better. I think sort of Michael Beale leaving at the start of the season for us was not a positive. I feel like although we've made some signings in the transfer window, but Diego Carlos, which obviously is super unfortunate, and everyone wishes him well, and for him to get back soon, I just don't feel like anything's changed. And my issue is not, and we were talking about this even just before we came on, because I couldn't hold it in. I couldn't even wait the 40 seconds to start having a go. But my honest belief is that with the players that we have available at Aston Villa Football Club in that squad, we should be a better team than we are. And I think George said it all really, really accurately a few weeks ago. And I shared that clip with everyone I know about Villa and the fact that although we're doing all the right things in terms of signing players like Kamara, who are coveted around Europe, and Diego Carlos, got Champions League experience, all of these things that we're doing to expand the stadium, or we act like such a big club on the outside. But when it comes down to it, this is football. We're not a business. We're a football team. And the sad truth of the matter is that we are shit at football. We cannot play this game for love nor money. Every single time I've seen Villa, we've just been lackluster, clueless. And you've seen it today. We've made Crystal Palace a decent team. Don't get me wrong, played well. But we made them look like prime Real Madrid. Honestly, we were just absolutely appalling today.
Kev, good to have you on, mate, and live from the motor. This is becoming a little bit of a habit, but we had to get on, mate. We had to, because
mate,
I just can't. I mean, I travelled 13-hour round trip to Bournemouth to watch that absolute shit show, and then the supporters have travelled down today with rail strikes, traffic on the M25, tube disruptions, and to be served up with that parcel of shite again, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
For me, it's not the fact that you lose to Crystal Palace, because you could lose to Crystal Palace because Crystal Palace were handy side. I've got memories of Andros Townsend pinging in 35-yard volleys against Man City and getting results. That's not it. It's the manner of the performance again. And I think I kind of WhatsApp this in our chat. We keep referring to our chat on the podcast, but anyone that listens thinks piss off and not on your chat, like, stop talking about it. But making the fact that obviously Palace could feasibly finish in the bottom half of the league, right? Maybe I'm not saying near the bottom, but they could be 11, 12, 13, whatever, right? Bournemouth, you think, are a lot of people's bet to finish bottom, if not second bottom, particularly with the money Forest has spent. And Everton stayed up by the skin of their teeth and finally they've made a couple of signings, but I still think they look like they're banging trouble. And we were lucky. We're lucky to have 3 points out of those 9, because Everton nearly got an equaliser. And it's just such an unconvincing brand of football, despite the fact we've been told that, we need a bit of time, pre-season for Gerrard, his own summer transfer window to get this identity of football. But I can't see any identity of football. So I'm absolutely flummoxed. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on. It feels like to me that we've got some really good players, but we're not in any way, shape, or form a team. I can't see a team. I can't see a team in terms of spirit. I can't see a team in terms of like helping each other out. And I can't see a team in terms of how cohesive they are.
Yeah.
And that's a real worry.
Yeah, I mean, I put a jokey little tweet out before saying, is Neil Critchley still looking for his passport? Because I can't see any tangible coaching that's been going on. And, I think it's plain to see Gerrard is the kind of manager, and he brings in a team of people around him or whatever. But at the moment, we look terrible from set pieces in both boxes. We don't have a style of play on the ball. We're at 6s and 7s off the ball. So what's going on with the coaching?
I don't think there is any coaching, Rich, and this is the problem. I mean, one of the things that we have to highlight is let's take our back five, goalkeeper and 4 defenders. We got Martinez, Cash, Luca Dean. Today it was Konsa and Mings. On paper, that is not a bad back five.
Yeah,
Luca Dean was one of the highest rated left backs when we bought him. Matty Cash is a very highly rated right back. Martinez, 15, 16 clean sheets a couple of seasons ago. Mings and Konsa. And look, I know Konsa's not had his best season last season and carrying on from today. I think that's all started when Gerrard came in, by the way. I was talking about this the other day. Konsa's confidence seemed to drop massively when Gerrard came in, because the season before that and the season before that, Konsa was it absolutely immense. He was one of my favourite centre-backs in the league, and a lot of people were talking about him for England. So on paper, we don't have a bad back five. We don't really have any reason to complain. And, in just the Villa fandom world where we talk about new signings and this and that, I don't think there's, in terms of personnel, there's not much that we could get to upgrade these players. Like, we bring in Diego Carlos and that's fine. But even if you take the last 2 games plus the game today, we cannot defend. We are god awful at defending. We cannot read the ball. We don't hold a line. We don't put any pressure on the man. Jordan Ayew out-jumped Tyrone Mings for header about 5-6 times this season. He's 6'5". He's 6'5". The man is 6'5". Jordan Ayew is about 5 and change. I do not understand what's
the worst thing is, Sam, it was like one direct long ball over the top about 5 times. And Jordan Ayew, who was part of our relegation season, is beating.
It's not even just him. It's Will Hughes. Hughes played for about 15 minutes, had 4 chances. He's running in behind Konsa. He's chesting the ball down. He's got so much time, but for a lack of composure from him. Today could have been 4, 5, 6, and that's just the defensive issues. Defensively, we are awful. And then it is, okay, now we've got the ball. Now what? The defenders can't play it out. Tyrone Mings holds onto the ball. And it's fine if you want to slow the game down. And that's what we needed today. We needed to bring the pace back down to where we wanted to be, because we were getting overrun. But he holds onto the ball, and then he distributes it too late to a player who's got a player next to him. He plays the ball into trouble. And then you see players in the midfield losing it, like Jacob Ramsey, Kamara, and McGinn, who was god-awful today. But we'll get onto that. And they lose the ball. But it's not because... For any other reason, they pass the ball in the wrong area. So defensively, we've got nothing. Passing the ball, distribution, no idea. Look at Crystal Palace today. It's like tiki-taka football. When they play close to the line. They play close to the throwing line, and they're playing it in and out, and they're using the width and they're using the speed, and they know what they want to do. They know where they're playing the ball into. Villa have got no idea. When we get the ball by the line, Ollie Watkins, I think he ran out of play about 3 times today because he just didn't have a clue. I don't know if he got bored or what, but there's so much stuff going on here. And then if we do by chance get it into the final third, nothing. Leon Bailey had a speculative offer that hit the bar today. Ollie Watkins got he had a one-on-one which he finished well, but apart from that one moment, which was hoofed up by Mings, Leon Bailey flick on, and Ollie Watkins taking a pretty simple chance. Let's be honest, he was there, he took it well. Apart from that, there was absolutely nothing today to be happy about. And this is becoming a theme of Villa. And, you know, when we talk about the games that have gone, look at the games that are coming up. We've got West Ham, Arsenal, and Man City. By the end of those run of games, we could very, very well be in the bottom three. Three. And it's I don't care what anyone says, Rich. It's not about witch hunting. It's not about this. Eventually, we've got to start looking at the manager, because the players are, you know, have previously in their careers been good enough. They've been proven to be decent players. You can't have everyone off song like that and it not be the manager's fault. And honestly, for me, it's just enough's enough with Gerrard. His win percentage is so low. We don't have an identity. I can't see what he's trying to do. He seems to be losing players, isolating players. And every decision that he makes, including giving John McGinn the captaincy, for me has been wrong. And I just feel like we have to cut our losses now with him.
Yeah. Kev, it does seem that, like, at the moment, every single decision that he seems to be making is just backfiring.
Well, I think the pressure's now building on him. And 3 games into the season, I'm not probably quite where Sam is yet in terms of my perspective, but because I think sometimes there can be a combination of factors. You know, we don't know whether he's actually pulling the trigger on the signings and whether he's actually getting what he wants in terms of bringing people in. And you can understand, based on, it's easy in hindsight, you know, captain hindsight is great. And I've been captain hindsight a few times, because I've certainly had my moments when I've called out, you know, Louise, and I've called out Watkins, and I've called out Mings. And yet after the first game of the season, it was clear for me that all 3 of them need to play in the team for us to be more effective. So, and I think a lot of Villa fans are probably the same. You know, the whole Mings-gate situation with Gerrard has all of a sudden turned this player that I've heard be vilified by countless Villa fans, the most criticised player in the team, is all of a sudden now the saviour of the team. But when you get a combination of factors, that's one thing. But when you're also adding it to it yourself in terms of some of the things that you're saying, I mean, it's even little throwaway things. I think sometimes even his style in press conferences now. I think, like, for example, his quote about Buendia the other day. You know, he came on, is he ready to start a game? Yeah, what's he got to do? And he refers straight to Bailey.
Yeah.
Now, afterwards, he did say, if you watch it all, like, Buendia has been the first class, and I'm a massive fan of his. But it almost feels like it's more defensive than it needs to be. And when you're a midfielder in the Premier League, a Roy Keane, a Steven Gerrard, and it's like a siege mentality, you know, sod everybody else, it's all about us, and we're strong and we're hard. That's great. When you're a manager, you got to win a few more hearts and minds at times. And I'm not saying he's not like that behind the scenes. The one thing I will say, though, on the players' point is, I would disagree somewhat about, I'm not exonerating the players from this, and I know this is like almost like the same conversations I have at Man United now, isn't it? In terms of, you know, is it the players, is it the board, whatever. But when I look at the system that we're playing, and this is the key point here, the system we're playing, and Sam, you put this point perfectly, we can't defend. But I think we can't defend because Digne and Cash are not suited to defending that well. I mean, Cash was a right winger. He's been converted to a right wing back. He's a good player. Obviously, Polish international. Digne's got a massive pedigree. Roma, Barcelona, very highly rated. But they're not very good defensively at times. And when you factor in that their distribution has been very poor this season, in it from my perspective, you got to question what you're getting, because Digne was really bad today. Cash wasn't much better, but Digne was really bad. When you add then a couple of bits of shakiness.
Well, Zaha scores 2 goals today, and he's on Cash. I know one's a penalty, but
yeah,
you know, Cash is marking him.
He's on a new one.
He absolutely whipped him. He absolutely whipped him.
You know what it reminded me of in the second half? You know that goal obviously Mateta scored, and they kept doing it on the left-hand side, second half, on the left wing. There was about 4 or 5 Villa players around, and one of them would have the ball, they'd knock it through a gap, the other one would remain on the other side. You know what it reminded me of? Ever played like football against kids when you've got 2 or 3 adults and 50 kids, right? Or 30 kids or 20 kids. And one of those gets a ball, and then the other one runs, and no one's got a clue, because there are only 3 or 4 of these kids. They don't know where the adults run into, and you kick the ball away from 50 kids. It felt like I was watching that today. How the hell can we
ball watching?
But they go towards. So what happens is Zaha will get the ball, and you'll get, like you say, 3-4 men around him. But they've all just given just enough space to do what he wants. They're not in on him.
Yeah.
When we're talking about it in you know, throughout the game, during in the group chat, we're talking about it, and you know, I kind of pushed back a little bit on some opinions because I've been hearing the same thing like again and again about physicality. And look, against Bournemouth, it showed that we have a small team because they bullied us physically. And that I can understand. We need to have that option. And I don't disagree with anyone about the Bournemouth game. But today, we were beaten physically, not because of strength or power or height. It's because of desire and will. Every single time we got the ball, they were bang on us. And we had nowhere to move, nowhere to run.
Mate, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, those points. So I think that there's clearly a lacking of heart and desire, or at least a visible. I don't like laying that at footballers' doors because, you know, England players get it all the time, and then you see them getting defended saying they do care. It's obviously how it looks, but
I don't care how they care. I don't care if they care, Kev. I care about how they display that passion.
That's my point. How much are they putting the necks on the line? But when you add to that, if you look at them from a physical profile, Jacob Ramsey, Emi Buendia, Philippe Coutinho, Luca Digne, even Kamara, who's a great player, but he's not physically very, you see him, going up against Decore today, you're thinking, you're going to get basically taken to school here. If you add to that an Ings, if you add to that, Watkins sometimes he's great at holding up, but often it runs off him. Matty Cash, we haven't got John McGinn. We haven't got this team that I think is physically good enough to compete.
I'm sorry, mate. I honestly, Kev, I think you're missing the point that I'm trying to make. I get that they're not the kind of players that are going to bully you physically in terms of like moving you off the ball or winning headers or imposing aerially. I'm talking about getting close to the man and putting in a physical challenge. We've seen John McGinn
at least just doing it. Yeah. I agree. It's like you can't. We have what we have. Yeah, we have what we have. We don't have the biggest players, but at least, like Sam says, at least put yourself about. At least let them know that you're there. Like today, it was just like you just lay down and said, "Oh, go on then, mate. Just tick."
No, I don't disagree with that. It's too. It's you know what it is. It's too respectful.
Passive.
It's too respectful.
Yeah, and also, yeah. Go on, Kev. Sorry, mate.
I was going to say we're letting people have the ball. When we are then trying to stop the play cynically, we're not doing it in a very clever way. We're giving away too many free kicks as well, cheap free kicks. McGinn gets an early yellow card. He's on a tightrope the whole game.
He's awful. McGinn, honestly, another one of them games where he gives himself a yellow card early doors for a stupid challenge. He can't pass the ball. Every single time he passes the ball, it becomes a loose pass. Crystal Palace pick up the ball. He can't beat the first man with a cross. He can't beat the first man with just playing the ball over the top. He's reckless in terms of his defending. He doesn't offer anything. He's not even doing the arse thing anymore. He's not even doing the arse thing where he turns. McGinn's offering nothing. And Rich, when Steven Gerrard came in, you said what you were looking forward to is maybe getting rid of that Dean Smith favoritism where he kind of picks players because he likes them. We're doing the same thing. He just likes different players. And the main thing that we've got to focus on now as Villa fans is every single time something goes wrong, we talk about personnel. We talk about bringing in a striker. We talk about bringing in a defensive midfielder. We talk about bringing in a new centre back or a goalkeeper. It's not personnel anymore.
it's mentality. It's mentality.
Different personnel will improve us. A big, strong defensive midfielder, of course, he'll improve us in the air. But the problem is that we've got 11 players there who are class players, good players, who would easily distribute it to other teams and play well. But as a collective at Aston Villa Football Club, Gerrard is not getting a tune out of them. And it's not just, the things that they're trying aren't coming off. They're not trying anything. They're not doing anything. There's no display of any footballing intent, of any identity, of any way of playing. Today, I didn't think it could get worse after the Bournemouth game because we were absolute dog shit then. Today was worse. Even though we scored a goal, we were worse. And this is what's concerning because the transfer window is closing. I think that Gerrard is starting to lose people. He's isolating key figures in the team like Tyrone Mings. He's not showing an identity. I don't think he's a particularly good coach, even if he's a good manager. I don't think he's a good coach. And I really feel like if we don't react quickly, the rest of the season is going to be a write-off. Look at Newcastle and Eddie Howe. Look what they managed to achieve. It's not that they had a bad man in charge, but they had someone who came in and he was innovative and had better ideas and was a better coach. And Newcastle...
Sam, we said this 3 games ago, mate. Even before the season started, we said that something wasn't quite right. It was, even though we won all these pre-season games and battled back to that draw against Man United, we said, despite the results, something doesn't feel quite right. Something's missing offensively, defensively, in the middle. So we've seen that happen. We've now played 3 teams that will probably finish. At least 2 of them will finish in the bottom half of the league, and we look massively out of our depth. You talk about the we've talked a lot about the defensive issues today, and obviously we know we've got some good attacking players. But what I will say is the confidence seems to be shot. I mean, how many times? This is really basic football, by the way, but the ball's coming to you, like take it on a half turn to give yourself a little bit of momentum to go forward. How many times do we stop and then turn with the ball? How many times did Bailey give the ball away? How many times did Watkins give the ball away? These are, attacking players. People are not running into spaces, and then you've got your fullbacks bombing on, which is great, but then you're leaving gaps at the back.
But even following on from the penalty saved. Give Martinez a chance, man. Run in. Go.
They're watching. They're
get in. He's managed to make the save. Go and put some pressure on Zaha to, get it wider over the bar. He's got so much time. He just casually slots it in. There's no pressure, and it's the heart that we're missing. Like, look, we might not be the best football team in terms of our footballing prowess. And Kev, I'll pose a question to you and to you and Rich, because fine, we've got all these problems, but I'm trying to say, from our perspective, from a fan's perspective, we can talk all we want, but what's the solution? What is the solution? Do you genuinely think bringing a few bigger guys, a few guys who are over 6 foot into the team makes any difference to this team?
I tell you why I think it does, right? And this would be my caveat for Gerrard potentially, is let's not forget this team hasn't changed as much as it's changed a bit, right? It's not changed massively under the team that were laying down with Dean Smith in charge. And there's some of the usual suspects there that have been not great in terms of consistency, from be it McGinn, be it Mings, be it Watkins. So I think that, fine, he's had fleeting moments from Medina and Coutinho, and there his signings, and Carlos is a signing and he's croc now, and Kamara's looked like he's got good promise, and we fought off a lot of clubs to get him. But I do think there's a lot of people that have been there previously. That is it a mentality thing to compete in the top half of the Premier League? So do I think it would fix everything? No. But I certainly think it would help significantly if you had a couple of better additions to that team.
Well, we're being linked with the likes of Bednarek. Bednarek's not going to come in and solve Villa's problems. My problem is, Kev, he's had 2 transfer windows now. He's had 2 transfer windows and a pre-season. And I honestly think, and this might be the moment where everyone kind of stops listening to me because I've taken it too far and I'm talking shit at this point. But take for example, like Man United starting 11, and put our best 11 on paper. I don't think in terms of ability and skill, we're miles away. I think, if you look at the back 5, I think it's interchangeable. If you look at midfield, they've got Fred and McTominay. Fine.
We've said it. We genuinely
challenge them. We challenge them for ability. If you put our team on paper against Palace's paper, we win. We do have ability in that squad.
Totally.
Yes, he might not have the best resources or variety. I don't even say it's resource. I say variety. He doesn't have maybe the personnel to change a game plan. Things aren't going well this way, we'll try it a different way. But don't tell me you can't get a better tune out of these crop of players, because they are good, talented, £40 million players in Buendia. Philip Coutinho, Danny Ings, 20 goals a season, every single season. Leon Bailey, Leverkusen now, they're still tweeting him every 5 minutes because of how much he impacted them as a team. Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, one of the most, even when he did get the ball today and he did manage to press and carry it and pass the ball, you can see he's a talented player there. Luca Digne, one of the highest rated left backs in the world before he signed for us. Martinez, I could go on and on. We have ability in this team, Kev, more than what we're showing. Fine, we can improve with some signings, but it's not the point. The point is how bad we are. Honestly, to watch, in my opinion, we're the worst team in the league. I'm watching Bournemouth now. Got Bournemouth Arsenal on the TV. And the fact that they battered us like they did when they're getting absolutely creamed by Arsenal is embarrassing. Honestly.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about the Palace game. I'll say as well. It's not like we've, you lose to Bournemouth on the first day of the season at the Vitality Stadium, but they were much the better team. I know we had the ball, but they looked more aggressive. They, obviously they took their chances. You play Palace today. We talked about it on the preview pod on Thursday night. If you look at players like Schlupp, who Leicester let go. Players that have come from the Championship up, and players like Ayew,
Ward, Ayew.
Klein was in the wilderness for Liverpool at years, and all these players, all of a sudden, it's
the
not
goalkeeper.
like we've played them. Yeah, the goalkeeper, exactly. We've not played them and played really well, but maybe they've just outmuscled us a bit, and we could talk about the fact we need more physicality, or It's not like there's been a dodgy penalty. They've battered us.
In
It could
every
have been
sense, in every
6 or
sense, Kev.
7-0.
Yeah. Well,
We had-
I think you asked me what potentially we do, but yeah, I'm not on for sort of ripping up the, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, ripping up the rule book and all that yet, and changing everything. I really think there needs to be some sort of like crisis meeting or head to head with the players and just put all cards on the table. What is going on?
A Cobra meeting,
What is going on? Because like I said, the decisions that are being made at the moment are just don't seem to make sense, and that might reflect to the players as well. Maybe they're getting rid of Mings as captain and then bringing McGinn in. Maybe some of the players are like, hang on a minute, I know John's a great lad, but he shouldn't be in the starting lineup. And then as soon as you start getting beat, the players that are on the bench are like, well, hang on a minute, I ain't getting a chance and I'm better than him. And that's all it takes is that those little snipes, those little things. And that always happens in the dressing room. But when you're winning, it doesn't matter because the players can't say anything. But Ings scores on Saturday, doesn't start today. He's like, well, fuck that. Like, what have I got to do? Louise is like not signing a contract, so he's not playing. He's like, well, why would I sign a contract for these? Someone else could be like, well, I'm Tyrone's best mate. He's knocked him off as captain. It just needs maybe Gerrard to swallow a little bit of humble pie and do like a face-to-face meeting with all the players and just say, look, cards on the table. What is happening? Because we're just going down a route here that is only going to go one way. We need to sort it out now. You can't brush these things under the carpet. So I think they've got to get everything to the surface and have it out, because otherwise we're just gonna crumble.
Well, Rich, we talked about before the season. We talked about Timo Ogbonam and the fact that he's a big lad and he's 6'2" and he can challenge aerially and what he can bring to this team and obviously he's not getting a look in at all. And when you've got John McGinn there, can't play a pass 5 yards. Why not? He can't. John McGinn cannot pass the ball. He cannot.
He's made him captain though, hasn't he? He's made so that means going back to square one again. That means him going back to Tyrone Mings and saying, "Oh, Tyrone, will you be captain?" Because he can't make Diego Carlos captain. I don't think he's going to want to make a goalkeeper captain. So
Martinez is the only one who's guaranteed to play every week.
I agree.
Because that's it.
He was the obvious choice.
Yeah. Boys, this is my solution. Now hear me out. I know this is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. I said this to Rich before the podcast started when I couldn't prevent my rant. There is a manager, a world-class manager at the moment who's sitting home, fiddling with himself, doing nothing because he ain't got a job. Pochettino has got limited options. Now hear me out, Kev. I can see it in your face already. Wait. Pochettino will not go to Man United because they just brought in Ten Hag. And if he does go to Man United, it's not going to be for a while. He can't go to Chelsea. He can't go to Man City. Can't go to Liverpool. Can't go to Spurs. Can't go to Arsenal. He can't go anywhere else in the French league because he's already been with PSG. In Spain, he's not going to go to Barcelona because of his ties with Espanyol.
West Brom have got Steve Bruce. So
Real Madrid don't want him. Look, he has got limited options. He could go to Italy. It's the only place he could go. He could go to Italy. He might be able to go to AC Milan or somewhere like that. But at the moment, everyone's kind of flying in Italy. They don't really need a change. That's not what the problem is. If we say to Pochettino, we talk about this big club mentality. I'm talking about a world-class coach here. We go to him and we say, look, these are the players that we have already. You've got your Coutinho's, you've got your whatever, players that he likes, Kamaras and whatever. This is a group of players that you will have. We give you an 18-month contract. You don't have to commit yourself for too long. We give you an 18-month contract. You come here. We've got money. We've got loads of money. We haven't spent any money this season. We made more on Carney Chukwuemeka than we've spent. So here's money. What do you want? This is the money that you've got. Go out. See what you can do with it. Because listen, boys, at the end of the day, we're talking about Europe and we're talking about top 10 in the table and stuff like that. We're not close. We're nowhere near. And it's not because of personnel. It's not because of personnel on the pitch. It's because of personnel that's managing and is on the sidelines. Why not try? Go for Pochettino. If we don't get him, we don't get him. Who cares? who embarrassed? Who we're embarrassing ourselves in front of if we go and ask the question. Go for a manager.
If we sack Gerrard, go for Pochettino. Don't get Pochettino, then we get Remy Gard.
First, get in talks with him and his agent. See if you can bring him in. Who would have said that Ancelotti would have gone to Everton? Who would have said that Ancelotti would have gone to Everton?
But that didn't end well. It didn't
Look
end
at Everton
well.
now. Get Everton now.
I take your point. I take your point. I take your point. But I just think is that then writing off another season. Let's
We've still got 2 weeks to transfer window.
He's not going to sack. We're not going to sack Steven Gerrard 3 games into the season. It's just not going to happen.
25% after a year, Rich.
It's not going to happen. Are Leicester going to sack Brendan Rodgers? Are Everton going to sack Frank Lampard?
I think Perslow's too close to him as well. I think the link Perslow's got, the CEO's link with the love they had together, the love at Liverpool. I can't see, particularly when Dean Smith was given a chance. If Dean Smith had that great start of that season before, bad end to the season, like Gerrard didn't have a great end to the season. Although, again, let's not forget, like we've talked on the pod before about if the season had started when Gerrard came in for Villa, we would have finished 9th. So if we look at it, I appreciate, and I'm just trying to give the other side of the argument here, but, you've got no identity really, no clear style of play, seemingly like a disconnected team. But he will argue, I finished 9th. If the season started when I came in, and fine, we've not had a great start to the season. One point a game.
Some time. Yeah.
Give me some time.
Yeah. Rodgers has got 1 point. Moyes has got 0 points. Lampard's got 1 point. It's really frustrating. But I agree. I agree. The fact that we haven't got any sort of style of play, the players look like they're at 6s and 7s, and there does look to be some dissent within the ranks is really, really, really concerning.
There's nothing to latch onto, Rich. This is what I'm trying to say. And Kev, I get what you're saying, and a lot of this from me might be said in anger after another woeful performance.
It's understandable, Sam. I get.
But the point is for me, Kev, just really quickly, you can respond to this, is there's nothing to latch onto. There's no positives. There's nothing I take away from that game and I say, at least that was good. I could say the same about the Bournemouth game. And even I was at the Everton game and I was there thinking, what are we doing? What are we like? This team is like Everton are really crap. They're real shit. Like we could really go there and make a statement and get 3, 4. We just, even the goals that we scored, they don't look calculated and they don't look like, oh, that was always coming. Danny Ings like fumbling around in the box, and Danny Ings managed to pull something special out of nowhere. Emi Buendia came on and changed the game. Really good parts, like bits of play. But apart from that, even in the Everton game, there wasn't loads where I was like, oh, yeah, we're absolutely dominating Everton. And Everton are like genuinely as bad as us, if not worse. And this is a problem. When we played Everton, it looked like a really good 50-50 game. And it could have been 2-2 in the end. And that's my issue, that even when we win those kind of games, like we should be sitting on at least 7 points right now. If we had anything about us, we would be sitting top of the league with Spurs on 7 points. But we're not.
Let's ask the question, because I think look, you got to look at opportunities sometimes, haven't you? You got to look at whether things seem like the right or wrong decision. I always remember years ago feeling how hard done by Nigel Adkins was with how well he did getting Southampton to the Premier League, and then all of a sudden, who's this random foreign manager no one's heard about called Maurizio Pochettino? And anyway, look what happened with that. It worked out pretty well for him. If let's ask the question. I mean, I don't think it's the right decision, but let's ask the question: if Pochettino was available for Villa to have now, would you? I know what your answer would be, Sam. So we don't bother answering that. Would you take him, Rich?
There's not a Villa fan in my opinion. There's not a Villa fan that says no to that.
Well, I think we should put a poll out. Definitely.
Put a poll out.
That'd be a good.
If that poll comes back under 75%, yes for Pochettino. If we could get him,
has Pochettino won anything?
When was the last time we won anything?
No, I'm just asking the question.
Didn't he win the ID Cup?
He won the French League, and he won the French version of the FA Cup. But again, he
won the ID Cup in there.
But Rich, we don't want to win anything. We want to learn how to kick a football. We want to know how to pass the ball 5 yards. I'm not taking a piss. I'm being serious. We just want to be able to pass the ball 5 yards forward. Yeah. Then we could think about winning something once we can understand how to do basic triangles. Rich, you used to coach kids. Have you ever seen your kids play the way that Villa play today?
I used to coach adults as well, and if they could pass semi-pro and they could pass the ball better than we could today.
I get it's a long shot, but my point is, I don't see what the solution
it's
is.
whether I can see it. Like I suppose I would take if he was available now. Yeah, I'd take him. Definitely take him. But we said it's harsh on Smith, but we need a bigger name in Gerrard, and like it's not happening. It's not happening at the minute.
If Gerrard was playing, he's the right big name. But as a manager, he's not a big name because he's not done anything yet. He went and did all right with Rangers in Scotland, fine, but it's a different kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean? Like Rangers won a game with nine players today in Scotland.
To be fair to him, Gerrard, he did better than all right with Rangers, considering what they achieved there. Look at the European run they went on last year; that was a lot of his work. And again, I'm just trying to give you the side of it. If Pochettino was available now, I think I'd flip a coin. I think I wouldn't be devastated if Pochettino was a manager tomorrow. But on the same token, Klopp finished 8th in his first season at Liverpool. Guardiola didn't win anything in his first year. Expectations of Man City were crazy. As he having less than a year in the job, had enough time. Is there still a chance to try and affect it in the next 2 weeks? My big worry is that based on what's happened, I don't know whether we will affect it in the next 2 weeks transfer window. And I've said this like a broken record in the last few weeks of pods, that my worry is maybe this is even before the capitulation today, even before we threw it away at Everton, almost, and even before probably the Bournemouth catastrophe, is we're going to get to November, December, we'll be 15th in the league, and we'll go, Christ, we should have. Why didn't we change something? And now we've had such a bad start to the season. It's really much more evident.
Well, that's what Sam's saying, though, isn't it? That's what Sam's saying.
Let me ask you a question, Kev. Yeah. You talk about Klopp and Guardiola and all these other managers who came in and didn't perform really well in their first season. Do you not think that at least with Guardiola and with Klopp and with these other managers who didn't really hit the ground running in the way they were expected to, maybe you could at least see what they're trying to do? You could see what Guardiola's trying to do.
But they had better resources. You've got to be clear. They had much better resources.
No, but again, Kev, it's relative. It's relative to the resources that we have. Are we showing enough? The answer is no. And forget the resources. Can you see what Gerrard is trying to do? What is the way that Villa play? What is the style of play? And it's. I know I'm not expecting us to go and perform like Arsenal and Spurs and all these clubs that have even Nottingham Forest have had better seasons.
You saw a style of play that we played against today. And that is a team that is in the.
And Vieira's had the same amount of time in the job.
Yeah.
Remember that. Vieira's had the same amount of time in the job. And they are against Arsenal, they pushed them all. And this is a good Arsenal side. Palace pushed them all the way. They looked quality that night. And then Palace have had some really hard games, really tough games that they've gone in and really battled with. And Vieira has been in the job for the same amount of time, pretty much as Gerrard. He's had maybe 2 months longer. And you can see there's such a defined way of playing. And they don't have better players than us. Maybe Zaha is like a player that will get into our team, and Eze maybe. But apart from that, you don't think a lot of their players will actually fit into our team, Kev? So it's got to be relative. Relative to the resources. Maybe. But relative to the resources we've got, is Gerrard doing enough? And the answer is unequivocally no. The fact that you say you flip a coin for me is bizarre, and I respect your opinion, but for me, it's just like, it's no question if Pochettino's available. It's no question.
The reason I guess I'm not so like all in on it is because I think there's so many examples of where managers get binned off too early before they give it a chance to try and change anything. But I absolutely echo all of the concerns around the style of play, the identity.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I was going to say was from a confidence perspective is that there's two aspects to this to me. There's confidence, I think, in terms of things like making captain to someone that hasn't played well for ages for us. And what does that say to not just Tim Iragbunan, but we're not there in training. We don't see what happens at training. We've got to understand that. But every time I've seen Morgan Sanson play in the last few appearances, he's looked like he's got a bit of dynamism. There's a bit of impetus behind his play. It looks he's got quality, and he's not even getting a look in that midfield.
And he's probably going to leave.
And when he does, he gets one game. They say to him, "All right, here's your game. Go on and change your game." I was watching Did you guys see the All or Nothing, the Arsenal?
I've seen some of it.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
So there's a bit in it, no spoilers, but there's a bit in it where they're talking about Eddie Nketiah. And Eddie Nketiah went on a podcast, and he basically said, all I've not been given any consecutive games. I'm thrown on to try and influence the game with like 20 minutes left, 30 minutes left. He's like, there's no way for me to display what kind of player I am if I'm not given a chance. And the same with Sanson. You need to give him 5, 6, 7 games. Take McGinn out. Say, look, you've been bad for too long. You've had You've shown nothing. People have had it with you, but because everyone likes John McGinn and he's funny and he puts on a turkey costume, everyone. That's it. You're captain. Your place is cemented there. This is football, man. This is not. It's not a popularity contest.
Absolutely.
So I was just going to say, just to finish the point quickly. So there's confidence, I think, in terms of the internal mechanisms of people getting picked based on probably not seemingly deservingly. You've got Sanson, you get Eric Boonham. I think Castle Hayden going out on loan is a really strange decision.
Crazy decision.
And you could have Archer could have had maybe more game time. I think the other thing, confidence-wise, is every time this season, well, we scored. Sanson scored against Everton, and within a minute and a half, they'd scored. We scored today. I felt good for about a minute. I thought a good little goal, that nice finish. All of a sudden, the confidence of the players, every time they've 2 of the 3 goals they've scored this season, the opposition have equalised straight away.
Do you know what? Do you know what Kessler Hayden going on loan said to Matty Cash? That place is yours, mate. Doesn't matter what you do. Do what you want. Yeah. That place is yours. Same thing for in other positions where we've maybe sent people out on loan, and like Cameron Archer, he's not going to get a sniff this season. He's not going to get a sniff because Ollie Watkins scores a goal like that. He has 15 seconds of good play in the whole game. That's it.
Yeah,
it's a good finish, but that's it. That's enough to cement Ollie Watkins' place for the next
Chambers as well. Chambers has probably been our centre half in the last since he's come to us. If you look to performance-wise, centre half, maybe Carlos for 2 games, you might argue, but if you had the stats, but you get my point.
He went great in defence with Carlos.
Carlos was crap against Bournemouth.
He was crap, and he wasn't great against Everton either. He was getting bullied by Tom. What's his name? I can't remember
Tom
his name.
Davis.
No, not Tom Davis.
No.
What's the other one? Gordon? Anthony Gordon.
Oh, Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, he was getting bodied by him, and it was just he wasn't winning headers either. He wasn't challenging from corners. Like I know that people have been using this excuse, but it's not.
Would have played more.
Yeah.
Sorry, just quickly as well. We talk about getting beat for headers. We talk about today what was happening. Will Hughes, Daniel James outjumped Tyrone Mings last season for a header to score.
Everyone outjumps Tyrone Mings. He cannot head the ball. He's 6'5" for nothing.
He's 6'5" and he jumps 5'3".
The only benefit that it has for Tyrone Mings to be 6'5" is he could grab something off the top shelf for you. If you were an Asda and you couldn't grab something, yeah, there you go, Ty. He's so useless. If I was 6'5", do you know what I would do on that football pitch? Do you know how much I would bully people? And look at the size of him. I would make myself known. I would win every header. And at corners, when we're attacking our corners, and never once in Tyrone Mings been a threat. Never once. Get your head on it. 6'5" for what? It's a waste. It's a waste of everyone's time.
If only they had your passion, Sam. I want to get to the comments, boys. I want to get to the comments. We're ranting and ranting. So let's just get to the comments.
I'm so sorry. Sorry to all the listeners.
But my point, my thing is as well is about the confidence and about trust. And I think the differences between the two sides, just before we go to comments, was they trusted each other with the ball, and they trusted that their teammates would be able to control the ball so they could make their forward runs. If you looked at Zaha and Eze, even Ayew to a certain extent, Decore, they knew that they trusted their player to hold the ball up or to have a good touch, so then they could make the runs off them. Our players, they don't trust them. They don't trust Ollie Watkins to hold the ball up front. They don't trust Ramsey to hold off Jeffrey. They don't trust McGinn to play the pass 10 yards. They don't trust Tyrone Mings to find them with a 50, 60-yard pass. They don't trust Luca Dean or Matty Cash to put a decent ball in. And they don't trust Leon Bailey to beat his man. They just don't trust them. So that's where it gets so disjointed, and you could see the difference between the two sides is we were okay in fleeting moments where 1 or 2 of our passes went through, but every time Palace went forward, they looked dangerous. They looked like they could score, and that's because they trusted each other with the ball, and we just haven't got that. And yeah, we've talked to it to the cows come home. That comes from coaching. That comes from on the training pitch. That comes from knowing what runs your players are going to make. That comes from trusting your players are going to hold the ball up. And part of it as well is, the type of player that we've got, and we've banged on about this so many times. If you haven't got a figurehead up top who's going to hold the ball up, your midfield drops, your defense drops, and you just become more and more isolated. And at the moment, we just don't have those options to even play that style. So that goes back to the coaching again. We need to figure out a different way of playing.
Rich, that's what I was about to say to you. Like, if you look at Palace today, they don't have a big centre forward. But what do? They play to their strengths. They play a technical game where
Well,
they use
Mateta came on, yeah.
I mean, before that, they use their strength and their speed. It's exactly what you're saying. What do we have at our disposal? We have a group of very technically gifted, able players who aren't the biggest in stature. So what do? Play to their strengths. Play tiki-taka football.
Yeah.
Play that kind of style, that Barcelona-esque with Xavi and Iniesta. Like it can be done. I'm not saying play it to that level at all, but I'm saying play in that mold where you take advantage of your players' abilities and what take that advantage and make it count. We could have played them. Should be passing teams off the park, really.
Exactly.
But
it came to what Kev was saying as well about getting the ball on the half turn. Instead of receiving the ball flat with your back straight to the defender, you're too easy to get past. Instead of taking a touch and then moving with the ball, this is what I used to love about Grealish. Like he took the ball on the move, and I thought Coutinho or Buendia would do that, but even they were just. There's a massive difference between controlling the ball and then moving and taking the ball with you. There's
using
a massive
momentum.
difference.
Using momentum. Can I just, before you jump into the comments, just quickly? So I was just going to say there was two quick observations before moving to comments. So the first one was I just thought as we were talking about all this, the amount of times today when you think we talk about this having like this big centre forward and hold the ball up. Obviously, Palace haven't really got that, but how much time do they have on the ball? The amount of times I remember seeing Zaha just having the ball, stopping, looking around. The pressure just was not there. So,
Sam
I
said
think that the intensity. But the other thing I'll say is this: I've been banging on to my lad. He's 8 years old, right? He's got his first pre-season game of the season tomorrow because it's been cancelled, right? About moving quicker with the ball, quicker. Don't stop. What you're going to do something with it? Pass, shoot, run with it, protect it, whatever you're going to do. And we were at a soft play today, and I was watching it like over the coffee, watching the game on a stream. And as he came over, he watched about a minute of it, and Villa were messing around with it on the left wing in the second half. And he was like, "It's too slow, Dad. It's too slow." And I'm like, "My God, an 8-year-old kid can see this. That it's too slow. It's too laboured. If we can see it, if we can see that the Mings decision's a bit weird and what's going on with the whole situation with McGinn, and we can see why the players aren't getting a chance, then everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Players can see it.
Yeah.
So." All right, jump in. Let's see what happens.
Let's go.
Sam's had quite a bit. I've had a little bit. You've had a tiny bit. So let's see what happens.
Let's see what everyone's saying. Yeah. So Ross, thanks for joining us. I said as soon as McGinn was made captain, it showed a total lack of understanding from Gerrard. Gerrard is one of the best midfielders ever to play the game, but can't identify a good one from a bad one.
Good point, Ross.
Yeah. I don't think we can argue. I mean, it's making a rod for your own back, making McGinn captain. Like it just is. Because now he took him off today, and that I don't know whether he'll say, "Oh, he had a yellow card" or whatever, but he was having a stinker. He hasn't played particularly well in any of the games that we've had so far this season. So what's he going to do?
He can't pass the ball, and this is the biggest issue, Rich, that I have is he's supposed to be distributing from the middle, and he cannot pass the ball. He can't pass 50 yards. He can't pass it 30, 20, 10, 5.
Yeah.
He cannot pass the ball, and that's the long and short of it. Like if you take that out of McGinn's game where he distributes the ball, I don't see what he offers. I really don't.
Nah. We keep making excuses for him as well. We've kept making excuses, and Villa fans are the worst for
We
that.
love McGinn, and with the same way we love Mings. Look,
exactly, just because he runs around and puts a challenge and sticks his arse out, it masks the fact that he's.
I talked about Tyrone Mings earlier, and about how he can't win a header, and about him being 6'5" and it being a waste. Let's just have this right. I absolutely love Tyrone Mings as a person. I'm so proud that he plays for our football club because the things that he talks about, and when I saw, was it Graham Souness called him out the other day, I was livid. I was like, and this is the issue with Tyrone Mings. He's shit, but he's our shit. Do you know what I mean? Like you can have a go at him, but you've got to be very careful because we're the only ones who are allowed to have a go at him. No one else is, and that's
the same with every football.
That's how I feel with Tyrone Mings. Like I really like him as a person. He's the kind of guy that if your daughter brings him home, you'd be happy. You'd be like, you know what, that's a good lad, respectful. I'm happy with him. But as a footballer, he's just, and again, it's not a lack of effort with Tyrone Mings. It's a lack of ability. And I've always said this. I think it's the same thing with John McGinn. And I think in too many instances in that Villa team, it's not a lack of effort. In historically, it's not been a lack of effort. It's been a lack of ability. I say it the same with Ollie Watkins. The problem is now, I think there's a lack of effort coming into the team. And when you have a lack of ability and a lack of effort, you get displays like this in Bournemouth.
And a lack of ideas. And a lack of ideas.
And a lack of ideas,
Mark Farrington saying, again about McGinn. McGinn's decision making is shocking. Leaving legs out like that is amateur. How is he given the captaincy? So back down to that, and also says McGinn and Ramsey had only 47 completed passes between them today.
That's
highlighting our total lack of
That's
control in midfield.
Disgraceful. That's disgraceful in a game where you have about, anywhere between 300-400 passes in a game. To only have less than 50 between our two ball playing midfielders is just what a stat.
Well, possession stats was only 51% to Palace, 49% to us.
That was just us picking the ball out of the net, mate. That's the one we had.
Yeah, that was bloody Martinez with probably his wrists are broken after like saving so many shots. Yeah, on to Gerrard with a couple of the guys' comments here. Ross has said Gerrard needs to go immediately. Get Potter in before it's too late.
Potter takes too long. Bring Potter in. He would do a good job with Villa, but it would take 3-4 years. That's the kind of guy you need to give time to because he needs to implement the strategy. Potter is not an instant fix. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No direction from Steven Gerrard. Leadership across the field is missing, and from the dugout. I think that's another part of it. Is I think we commented on this either after the Bournemouth game or might have been the Everton game, but it doesn't seem to be much shouting going on or off the pitch. There doesn't seem to be any. There doesn't seem to be any. He's very pensive. Even his bench aren't really saying a lot, and that I don't know if that translates to the pitch. Like,
Mings he'd be going mental today watching that. He'd be seething, frothing from the mouth.
Exactly, and I'm not saying that he needs to change his way he is or whatever. That might be just the way he is, but to take the captaincy off Mings, who is clearly our most vocal player, maybe he's thinking, that'll be him anyway. He'll do that, and then maybe giving it to McGinn might make him more vocal. But I haven't seen McGinn say anything to anybody on the football pitch.
Well, he said when he got the captaincy, he said, "I lead by example," and he is leading from example. And people are following his lead way too, way too much. They're following their captain to the grave because he's shit, so everyone else is being shit.
Well, here's the problem: when you're giving it the big one in any situation, you got to make sure you're performing. And if you're not performing on the pitch, it's a bit rich to start telling everyone else that they need to start picking up the slack.
That's why the captain is usually a consistent performer, Rich, because you can't listen to someone who's performing shit themselves. That's why we talk about consistency.
Missing 2-yard passes, if you're missing simple diagonal balls, if you're getting beaten to challenges that you used to be able to win, if you're not using your big rear end to turn people like you used to, if you're giving away needless, silly early free kicks, and then you're having to go at someone else. And previously you were the joker of the pack, and now you're captain. And it's very difficult to go from being like a regular one of the team to be a manager. A lot of people in the world have had issues with that in terms of the hierarchy changing. So I think it's a difficult one, isn't it?
He's gone from being the joker to being the clown, and that's the problem, John McGinn, because when he was playing well and he was like having a laugh and joke, it was great because his performances, he was lifting the spirits around not just the team, but around the club for fans as well. But now when you're having performances like that, it's like, what's that old adage that the clowns aren't laughing anymore? And just all those sad clowns. So that's what I see when I look at John McGinn now, because he's, again, a lovely guy. He's always put in, his effort for the club, but I'm talking about ability here. He just does something in him is turned off from, I shared on Twitter the other day that goal he scored against Sheffield Wednesday. From that period, he was one of our best players, and he was a Premier League level. Even though he's playing in the Championship, he was of a Premier League quality. And now something's gone wrong, whether it's him being battered by losing too much, or maybe this is a Villa thing when you come in and you get desensitized to losing. And I think this is one of the big issues. I wonder if the players go back into the dressing room today after that and just go, what is that? Or are they just like, another day at work? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. James Saunders has got some big news for us, and I did have this teed up for comment. I have got the tweet, but apparently we have reached a verbal agreement with Watford to sign Ismail Assar for €28 million plus 15% of any future sale. So now we're discussing personal terms with
that's
the
massive.
player.
That's massive, but we need to get the ball to him. This is what I'm trying to say. We don't have a lack of creativity issue, which is what Ismail Sarr will bring. That's by the way, an incredible signing. The one that I've been looking at for the last week, thinking, when is someone going to sign him? But the problem rests deeper than that. That's fine. But like I said, this is not a personnel issue. So bring in Ismail Sarr, 1,000,000%, fantastic signing. But how do you get the ball to him when we can't pass the ball? The same issues remain, Rich, and I'm not taking the piss, and I'm not being negative about that.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I do not disagree. It's like, do we? So on that, Kev, I'll come to you, right? So we've got the three in midfield. He's not gonna take Kamara out, okay? No. Let's say McGinn and Ramsey's positions are up for grabs.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's assume we're not buying anyone new. Okay, unless this has forced the hand now and we've got to go for someone. But let's say we're not. Does a Louise Nakamba / Irigbonham midfield with Kamara do anything?
Do anything in what sense? I think, is it better than we've got now?
Is it better than a Kamara, McGinn and Ramsey?
I think. Well, okay. I mean, I'll answer the question in a political way, in a roundabout way. Louise is as Eddie's critics, right? I think we need Louise in there at the moment. I think we need his energy and his industry, and for all the points around, sometimes he's not always the best. Ramsey and McGinn has not and does not work. Ramsey's worked best at any point when Coutinho's played. Coutinho will say one thing. We talk about, it's been a bit of a different pod this, because there's been a lot of emotions, and we've probably not had much structure. Not that probably anyone's noticed, because
I don't mind. It's good. It's all good.
No, I think it's great. But I think one thing, I thought Coutinho looked all right when he came on. I think maybe that's his best point in terms of impacting now. But either way, like, you look at players that have played well together. Clearly, Ramsey and McGinn have not and do not work. That stat about complete passes today says all you need to know about.
Disgrace.
I think.
Do I think Nakamba's the answer? One second. I think Nakamba's the answer. Absolutely not. I think it's Nakamba or Kamara for me. But I think Louise. I think if you're not going to bring anyone in, I don't think you'd be go much wrong having Sanson and Louise playing those two roles with Kamara behind.
Yeah, Sam.
I was just going to say, I think just on Kev's point, when Coutinho came on, I think we did have a bit of the ball. I think it was just after they scored their third goal. And I think Palace had kind of, they'd taken off Zaha. They were kind of content to give us the ball because they weren't really worried about the threat we were going to. And to be fair, they were right. We didn't really make any dangerous chances. But I don't disagree. I think, but this is my point, Kev, that I was trying to say. I feel like we do have good players, and bringing in a player like Ismail Sarr is only going to strengthen what is already a decent squad. We definitely need some strength in there. Everything that you guys have been saying since the start of the summer, since last season. It's not just now. We've been
since Dean Smith was our manager.
Yeah, 100%. And
We've never had a midfield since we went into the Premier League. We've never had a midfield.
And I fully back it. And I'm with you guys, and I don't disagree. I just feel like George was saying a couple of weeks ago, I feel like there's something deeper here. I think there's something maybe more deeply rooted, that needs from a systemic level of Villa, because we bring in these fantastic players and we kind of dull them as if a knife that's not being kept sharp. Eventually we dull them. And I look at players like Luca Dina, and I feel like that's something that's happened to him. And Ezri Konsa was very sharp when he came from Brentford, but it over time has become dull. And I want something to reinvigorate the team. Yeah. And I don't know if that's replacing Gerrard, whether it's going on a little winning streak, maybe winning 2 or 3 games, or maybe the Villa fans at home really just giving it, because I was at Everton and it was pretty quiet. Like, there were patches of noise where we were quite loud, but for the first game of the season at home, I felt like we were too quiet for too long. And I feel like Villa fans have become disillusioned by...
Fans are nervous. Fans are worried. Like, fans...
I think we're bored of just being shit, Kev. And not even... Like, just saying it as candidly as I can. Villa fans are bored of watching Aston Villa play football. My missus is what, 8 months pregnant now. Whilst we were watching that game, I said to us, I feel so sorry for that boy that I'm gonna put this on him, that he's gonna have to sit here every week and watch this shit. I actually feel guilty, but I concluded by saying to it, well, if I have to do it, he has to do it as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. I just want something different at Villa. And I don't know. I was expecting it when Steven Gerrard came in, and we got it for a very short period of time in the game that we went to, Rich, against Palace at home last season. And I don't know. I feel very underwhelmed with what Steven Gerrard has done so far in the same period of time as managers like Patrick Vieira and even managers like Graham Potter have really pushed on.
You made the point earlier about Eddie Howe, and it's a really valid point, albeit different personnel, but he has clear.
Thomas Frank as well, Kev. You look at Brentford.
Well, Dean Smith was the answer at Brentford, came to Villa, obviously did a good job getting us up, and everyone was like, Thomas Frank Uzi, assistant coach. He's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, and he's got his Brentford team playing in a way where they don't have the best players.
They've got a style of play. They've got a style of play. You know what they're going to do.
And it suits the players they've got, Kev, and that's what I'm saying we don't have. If we're trying to play, like Klopp ball or Guardiola ball, when we don't have Klopp players and Guardiola players, this is what's going to happen. But it's not even like you can see what they're trying to do, and it's just not coming off. So I do agree with you. I don't want to be too contrary about what I'm saying, but I really feel like all those issues are stemming from our manager's responsibility. Whether it's his fault or not, it's his responsibility. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. He'll definitely get more time. I don't see him leaving before Christmas, January, even if we go on a bad run of games. But I'm just saying, whilst there are options out there, or if any options come up that are viable, I think if we carry on like this, we do need to look at them.
Yeah. Boys, I think that's really good. Get it off our chest. It's going to be interesting coming into the next week. I think it might force the hand if we're getting players like Ismail Assar. I think James has said there might be a what is his name? Fabrizio
Romano.
Fabrizio Romano saying we're looking at a CDM now as well, and apparently a centre back, which we already know about. So
Rob Holt.
Yeah, we could be forced into, really forced into the transfer market. But yeah, I think everything that everybody has said on this pod, Kev, yourself, Sam, yourself, is all valid. And I think you summed it up pretty well at the end there, Sam. Where, I think the fans are just a bit sick of. We want to see an identity. We want to see some good football. We want to see some heart in the team. We don't care if we get beat, but we just want to see a bit of direction. We want to see a bit of heart.
Have a go.
Yeah.
Lose a game. If you're going to lose a game, come off the pitch feeling proud of your team. When I made the point about nervous, look, listen, we are sick of us being not good enough, but I think we're also nervous every time we get the ball because the expectation that we won't do something with it offensively and the expectation we will do something bad with it defensively. And I think if we look at this, hopefully, and try and do it in a positive way, these three results might actually be good news because I think if we'd maybe muddled through that pre-season form and possibly got a win at Bournemouth because we should really have beat them even if they're on we're on a bad day, and we'd have got a draw at Palace and we beat Everton, we're on 7 points, then maybe they don't go into the market at the level they're going to do it. So it might actually be good news.
Yeah. And great comment from James for you, Sam. You're a legend, mate. And you love the pod.
It's always funny to see someone lose it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same way you were feeling. It's always, but I agree, and like you both say, just to finish off my final thing, I don't mind losing. I've been used to it. Being a Villa fan for 30 years, I get it. I just want to see us play well, like little bits of football. Like little things where you go, "Oh, do you know what? Yeah. Oh, that was a bit nice. That was a bit naughty." And you just got nothing in that whole game, and really in the Everton game and Bournemouth, you just kind of like, yeah, okay. So I want to be excited, even if we lose, but we play well and we challenge, and it's a good 50-50 game. We just got battered. We got battered against Bournemouth. We got battered against Palace.
Sam, do you remember that era when we had Barkley? I know Barkley wasn't much of a success, but there was a spell that first half of that season. Barkley, even Watkins.
We were quality.
Grealish, the link play, like the little flicks, like the attacking impetus. I remember thinking, oh my God, we're a good team. We're going somewhere.
The worst thing about it was we weren't in the stadium.
Yeah, I know. That's why they played well, Rich. It was to spite us, so that when we came back, they were like, "This is what you get."
Right, lads. Anyway, we're going to be back on Monday. We've actually got a game on Tuesday, boys, against Bolton, so we'll be previewing that. We'll cover some more of this game, get the fallout from the last couple of days and what's sort of said by the players, what's sort of said by the press. Maybe a little bit more reflection from us as well. But yeah, boys, it's been a pleasure. Great jumping on this.
Good therapy. Good therapy.
Yeah, and don't forget, please give your like, please 5 subscribers. But for now, remember, reluctantly, we all follow the Villa. See you later, everyone.